Welcome back to the 5 Minute Major podcast. We never want to start our shows off like this, but a huge loss to the hockey family occurred last Thursday. As most of you know by now, Johnny and Matthew Gaudreau passed away in a devastating, unimaginable accident as they were biking together in their home in South Jersey. We send our thoughts and prayers out to the Gaudreau family. It's not fair at all. We've read so many social media posts showing how amazing Johnny and Matthew were to South Jersey and beyond. And no words can really be put together for something like this. The blues community definitely knows how it feels to have this happen, as does every community, unfortunately, I'm sure. It's so sudden and tragic. The hockey community always rises up together to take care of their loved ones. And I hope Johnny and Matthew's legacies live on in every hockey community forever. Rest in peace, Johnny and Matthew Gaudreau.
Loads up, shot, scores! Johnny Gaudreau, his first National Hockey League goal in his first National Hockey League game.
Always had the dream of playing in the NHL by there, and I always had that drive that I really, really wanted to. But I just, in the back of my mind, at times, I thought, I'm a smaller guy. I've had doubt all my life, playing against bigger guys like this. And after my freshman year, I felt crazy playing. I might be able to do this for a living.
Here's Johnny. Johnny Gaudreau, first career hat trick, and he's tied the game at 3. Now the bouncing block, Gaudreau in the wraparound, scores! Great goal by Johnny Gaudreau. Gaudreau, Johnny scores!
Johnny Gaudreau will go into the summer knowing that he could score here in the National Hockey League.
Again, Gaudreau shoots and scores! Johnny Gaudreau! Gaudreau scores!
Hey!
What's up, guys? How's it going?
As you guys heard in the intro, we honored the Gaudreau brothers for the unfortunate passing that they had. It's just still so tragic, dude. Just the unspeakable was done. It's just crazy to think about two amazing human beings, just even outside of the game of hockey, that had to suffer something like that. And of course, the family and friends and just the hockey world in general.
It's just one of those it struck the hockey community. And I mean, I was in Alaska and you texted me and I was hoping and praying it wasn't true, and it ended up being true. And I think it's one of those that we really see that life is so precious. And both of these guys were giving back to their community. His brother was back coaching the high school hockey team that they played for. And they were just out taking a bike ride together to just thank you on one single bike ride, and everyone's life changed in a matter of moments. So, it's one of those where they'll be in our thoughts and prayers for this season. I think a lot of teams and players are going to play for Johnny Hockey this year. And I know it's been a huge impact on a lot of guys, like Kevin Hayes, for example. They were really close. And Johnny Hockey was really close with Kevin Hayes' brother, who also had passed away a couple years back. And I think it just shows you how precious life is. And one of those that, we're all putting a hockey stick out on the front porch these days and these couple of weeks to kind of remember Johnny Hockey and that family.
It's just, I don't even know how to talk on it. Like, I've went through the grievances myself, just like shock and then pure emotion, and now just back to shock again.
Yeah.
Like, I really can't wait for the hockey season to start, because I just feel like it's going to be so emotional for the whole entire season just based on this itself. And like, I know that every team's gonna be honoring him, and it's gonna be a sight to see. It's gonna be, like I said, more emotional than it should be.
That home opener for Columbus is going to be one you better get the box of tissues for, because it's going to be an emotional one. And I really do hope that the Columbus Blue Jackets really do take care of Johnny's family going forward, because not only is it hard enough to lose your husband and the father of their kids, and their kids are very young. And I mean, I think all we can say is thoughts and prayers to their family, and really hope everyone takes this as a moment to really love your close ones and family members, because you never really know what's happening.
Oh yeah. Tell everyone you love them.
Yep. That's from our podcast, and from Mike and I, we're sending thoughts and prayers to the Gaudreau family, and we really hope that they get the healing in due time, and we know that the hockey community is truly behind them.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, now that the hard stuff is over, let's get into some hot topics just from the past week. You know, we thought August was crazy. Now September's starting to roll out. Contracts are flying. Some people we mentioned before. We're going to start with Seth Jarvis. You know, we had thoughts that he was going to get paid, right? Carolina is not stupid. They've done pretty well with keeping their key players and keeping them happy. And this is just another sign of that. And this kid's going to be so good, and we know he is, just based off last year. So.
Oh, yeah. And, I mean, that's a steal of a deal. You're getting Seth at 8 years at $60.8 million for that contract. And, I mean, I honestly thought he was going to get more, but I feel like part of that was probably staying home with the Carolina Hurricanes kind of discount. But, I mean, they're still paying him a pretty penny. So that at the end of the day, he's coming out with a good check, a nice lump sum of change. And I think he'll back it up on the ice like he did these past couple of years for them. So I don't think it's a well-deserved contract, in my opinion. I think truly it's one of those that I think he's played for. He shows up in the playoffs. He showed up in the regular season, and he earned himself a paycheck.
Yeah, 67 points in 81 games last year, and just the impact he had in the playoffs was unbelievable. Mm-hmm. He's so young. Like, people don't realize he's only 21. He looks like he's 36.
Red Bull, man. That man runs off of Red Bull and pure energy.
He's such a funny dude. I just know that he's going to be their guy for a long time, obviously. Like, especially with Stahl. Isn't he considering retiring? Or
yeah, I think we're coming to the end of Stahl here. So I think it's Seth is really going to have to step it up, which, I mean, Seth is not the biggest man. I mean, he's 5'10", 184 pounds, but he plays like he's 6'5", 250 pounds, because he'll put the body on. I think in players today, if they're going to be a little smaller, and I mean, 5'10" isn't small, but he plays a big, aggressive game. So I'm really, really excited to see how this is going to go. The crazy part is 29.24 of that is coming as a sign-on bonus. So they're playing the cap game like many GMs have to, and I think it's going to work out for the best. I mean, he's a 13th overall pick in the first round back in 2020, and he's taken the NHL by storm. And I think by the end of this contract, he's definitely going to be a household name.
You know, that makes me think, this isn't even in our notes, this makes me think of Swayman, because I heard on Spit and Chicklets that he talked to them, they had decent discussions. The number was like super low. It was like 4 years, $6.5 million or something crazy like that. And I'm like, he should be getting paid $8.5 million, like we talked before. Yeah. And Boston hasn't, supposedly, according to Ryan Whitney, they haven't been in touch with this guy or his team in like 3 weeks. And training camp is about to start. I'm like, okay, well, Swayman's a stand-up guy. You know, maybe he's like, I don't want to take too much money and just destroy the hockey goalie contract market for years to come. But, bro, get your bag, homie. Like,
well, the other thing, there was rumors swirling he wanted $10 million. So, you know, I don't know if he's at a $10 million. I still think that happy range is at $8.5 million that we talked about. I mean, he still gets that bag, and I'm thinking it's going to end up coming down to a bridge contract. And hopefully he's in camp, because I'm sorry, if you don't have a camp, you're not going to be ready for the season. And then Boston is going to be not looking the best without a goalie going into that season because you let Ullmark walk. Now you can't let Swayman go.
It's so funny to think that they traded Ullmark for, like, I can't even remember what. I don't know why they're taking so long on trying to get this guy signed. It's got to be something we don't know, obviously. Like, the agents wanting more, and Swayman isn't really, like, all in on caring about the money yet. Like, he kind of just wants to play. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, because it looks like they sent Ullmark in a trade to the Senators for Korpisalo, which, I'm sorry, Korpisalo is a backup goalie nowadays, and a first-round pick, which is a decent return, but I figured you could have got a little bit more. I mean, Korpisalo, I guess, in an emergency state, you could get something.
Yeah.
And I mean, it was a first-round pick in the 2024 draft.
Yeah, I think they got what they wanted out of it. They didn't need 2 Vezina caliber goalies, but I think they should have gotten more for Ullmark in the end. But anyways, Swayman, get your deal done, brother. We want you to make money. Even though we don't like your team, we want the goalies to get paid. And you're probably the best U.S.-born goalie in the league. Well, maybe Hellebuck. But anyways, go get your bag, bro.
All right, the big signing. Draisaitl signing 8 years with a $14 million average. What the hell are we doing?
Oh, man, Edmonton. You got to keep your superstars. You got to. Because he is the second best player in the world, and he gets to play with the number 1 player in the world. Now, McDavid, he's going to have to get extended at some point, and it's going to be 16?
Or is McDavid willing to match him with a $14 million average? But then you're talking $28 million between 2 players? Are we playing without a full roster because you can't keep the salary cap? Like, what are we doing? Vegas tried it and it didn't work.
True. Vegas did go all in like this and it didn't work, which we don't give a shit about because fuck you, Vegas.
Yeah, Vegas,
right?
Screw you.
Everyone, we can all agree on that.
I'm so tired of Vegas Golden Knight hockey. You're a franchise expansion. You're supposed to be shit like we had to do.
Hey, we made it to the Cup Finals like 2 years in a row.
But after that, we just plummeted, and it's not like we were competitive in the finals. It was like we were the best of the shit.
Okay. And there was only 12 teams in the league back then?
I mean,
back to Draisaitl, dude. Edmonton, we're gonna shit on you probably the entire year because now it's our favorite thing to do.
Oh, okay. It's too easy. You just throw us the lob for the softballs, and we're just hitting grand slams off of them.
In reality, it's a good signing to me because you need to keep Draisaitl. He loves it there too. Like what he's been saying in these interviews after he signed was so good. Like he's like, I feel so confident when I wear that jersey. Like that's where I want to be, pretty much. Yeah. But now it goes back to even before the offer sheets, which they still had concerns about, is you only have $950,000 in cap space this coming year. You're not sure if Evander Kane is going to be on the LTIR, which you never hope someone's going to get hurt that long, right? Like, just like how we felt with Krug, like that sucks, Yeah. Like, it's a guy. It's your guy. And it's just a nightmare. How do you keep Evan Bouchard on this team unless you make crazy moves or I don't even know the specifics of the Draisaitl contract, but cap hits are the same no matter what with signing bonuses, right? Unless it's crazy. I don't really know exactly how it's going to work.
There's a lot of gray area in it. And I mean, Evans and RFA 25-26 season. Okay. So you're sitting on a $9.25 million contract with Darnell Nurse, who, I'm sorry, is not worth that much money. Let's just, in the grand scheme of shitty contracts, people want to say Colton Parayko. No, Darnell Nurse. Terrible contract. Sucked in the playoffs. Had to get scratched a game in the playoffs. And then, oh wait, you know what? Broberg, he played great for us in play. We can't sign him. Okay. So then you got Ekholm hitting 34 years old at $6 million for this year and next year. So your average age of your defense is 28 years right now. So majority of them are about 30 years old. Aging defense, overpaid defense. I mean, someone's got to go. And I don't think Kane's going to be the guy. I think Kaner comes off the LTIR, he stays. Ekholm or Nurse. Pick one of them because they're gone.
They have to move something with
and they're going to have to eat that contract. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
no one is taking $9.25 million of Darnell Nurse for 4 or 5 more years or whatever it is.
No, they need to do something where like they eat at least 60% of it. At least.
Or you're sending them to Utah or a team like a San Jose and oh wait, here's a first round pick and a second round pick. Please just take them and then you're free of that cap if you don't want to retain. But also, we have one other problem. You can only retain salaries of so many players. Oh shit, Edmonton's already retaining 2 players right now.
Oh,
James Neal still holding on to that sucker and one other guy. So I think James Neal has like $1.95 million right now in retained cap space on them. So we're not doing too great here in the cap management, boys. So let's figure it out. Because at this point, you're just digging your hole deeper and keep doing it because it's just going to make us be able to roast you even more.
I have to comment on James Neal because I know the boys that listen know how much I hate him because he stole money from us for that 1 year when he scored 4 goals in 1 preseason game, and we were at the game, and I said he's going to get a contract out of this, and he did, and it was like $1 million fucking dollars. He stole money from us, and I'm like, so he's still stealing money from Edmonton. This dude's getting paid to do nothing.
Yeah. Because let's be honest, we sat there, we watched him in that freaking preseason game. And we're like, oh, shit, he scored. And I was like, oh, crap, he's hitting someone. Oh, man, this is a Armstrong player if I've ever seen one. It's a Jason Arnott kind of return, a Jamie Langenbrunner coming from the weeds.
Yeah.
And he just sucked the ever-living life out of us for a little bit there. Good Lord.
When it comes to Edmonton and them trying to sign their superstar defenseman with probably the best clap bomb in the game, Evan Bouchard. Do you think a team like us, who just got $6.5 million in free cap off an injury of Krug, and if somehow possible we can sell Falk away and we can eat half of it, but if we sell him away for at least 3, we'll have 9. And hey, buddy, Evan Bouchard, I know you like Broberg. I know Holloway's a good dude. Doug Armstrong's calling you up. Are you taking this deal? You think the Blues could do it?
You're going to have to send a lot to get that deal done. And I mean, it's Falk, it's a first-round pick, it's maybe a Perunovich and maybe a Tucker, because they fill the cupboards up with some defense. You got guys that can play now. You have guys that are younger. And I mean, you have guys that are inexpensive. But are the Blues also on a point to give up on some of these guys? What do we have in this Tyler Tucker? I mean, Tyler Tucker, I think we've given him plenty of opportunities. And, it's the person we don't want to talk about is Nico Mikkola. He should still be here. We let him go in a stupid trade with Tarasenko and Mikkola to a New York Rangers team. And Mikkola just got a second cup. I know that burns fans. I know it hurts, but you love the kid, and no one around here can say they hate him. But it's one of those things that Edmonton's got to figure out something, and either they're going to trade away these guys, or are the Blues able to finagle another deal? Armstrong, work his magic, work that voodoo magic.
If there's anyone who can do it, it's Doug Armstrong. And if there's any fan base that would go absolutely bonkers, it'll be a 50-50 shot. It'll be, we hate you and we love you. And that's usually how it goes in St. Louis. But if he did it, I would be like, we're going to I don't see how we aren't making the playoffs, even with this team that barely has a second line center. It would probably be a waste of a trade and a waste of prospects to do it, because it would be kind of doing the opposite of what we just did to Edmonton, which is steal their thunder, right? Steal their prospect pool a little bit. So I don't know. I don't see it as a negative too much, but it would be kind of sad to see the end of an era of like Falk and Krug go out that way. And, Bouchard, he's going to get paid. It's just, how is Edmonton going to freaking do it, bro? I don't know.
All right, hopping into the divisional breakdown, starting with Atlantic. Boston Bruins, what you got? Let's hear it, Mikey.
The Boston Bruins in 23-24 at 109 points in another fantastic season. Can't hate them enough. They're always good. Their best player of the year, David Pastrnak, 110 points, had 47 tucks. This guy is just so silky. I love seeing a right-hand shot that can put it away like that, too. Just got some of the best vision I've seen. It just loves winning. Loves scoring, too. He's got good passion. He is their freaking stud. 100% true. Their captain, we all know him as the Rat Brad Marchand. They just announced that this dude had 3 surgeries this offseason. It's kind of funny because Sweeney, in May, was like, oh, we're not going to have any serious surgeries in this offseason. Our team's healthy. And then they come out and say Brad Marchand had an abdominal, an elbow, and something else. And I'm like, this guy's a freak. He's 36, 37. This guy still had 67 points and 30 goals. So, I mean, he's not stopping. He's a warrior. He's a Boston boy through and through. The Bruins, man.
The Slewfoot King if I've ever seen one.
Him and Subban have that locked down.
They got it locked down. All right, breakout players. Who you picking this year?
I have everyone's favorite from the city of St. Louis, Mr. Trent Frederick. Mr. Frederick Roofing himself. He had 40 points last year. So, pretty good for a guy who you think is just kind of a fighter, right? I expect him to tuck 25. I think he breaks 50 in the point stat. He's a beauty, dude. He plays like Jake Neighbors, you know what I mean? Just big body, power forward. He's got this sneaky good wrist shot, and he's got sneaky good hands. Related, Charlie Coyle broke his point record last year. I think Frederick's going to do that this year, and he's going to solidify himself in Boston for however many years to come. It'd be stupid to let a guy like this walk. He is Boston Bruin hockey.
He is a Boston Bruin guy, and I mean, he's a big boy. He parks himself in front of the net. He'll throw those elbows. Louisiana boy Mason Laurie, 23-year-old, 6'5" D-man, coming up in his second year after taking a spot and holding on to it. Put up a solid 41 games last year with 4 goals, 9 assists. And I mean, he just brings physicality, great offensive skills of pushing the puck using his legs. I mean, he might have not shown it with the assists, but I think he could be a guy that's a good puck-moving defenseman, but also can hold it down in front of the net. And I mean, with this goalie issues going on, I mean, you got to hope you got strong defense up in front of your goalie in Boston. So I think he's going to be a good guy that's going to step up this year. What do you think Boston's doing? What's your predictions for this season? What do you got going for them?
I think they stick where they were, man. I think they go back to the second spot in the division because I think Florida's taking it again. Definitely over 100 points, and they're going to make another run. It just depends on if they have the gas to get by Florida yet again. They kind of got embarrassed last year, but I don't think Boston makes 2 mistakes twice. They're huge additions of Elias Lindholm and Nikita Zadorov. It'll help them so much. Just big boys, huge boys. Like Charlie McAvoy is the smallest D-man on the team now, and that is saying a lot.
This is my hot take. They take first. I think a Jim Montgomery-led team, regular season, they take first. I mean, as much as you want to hate the Rat Man, you just can't bet against him. And much like all Blues fans can relate, we hated Steve Ott playing against that man, but when he was on your team, you loved him. And I think much like no Blues fan would tell me right now, you wouldn't take a Brad Marchand on your team. And I think Brad Marchand with that C on his chest leads this team to first place back into the playoffs.
I love that. Low key, even though I hate Boston, I love that though.
It's one of those that I think we're going to see some good upside into this next season. It's going to be a competitive division. I think this is going to be one of the best divisions in hockey.
Yeah, this is the one where it truly sets up the Eastern wild card because 3 or 4 of these teams are playoff teams easily.
Oh, yeah.
Like, not question, And then there's a couple bubble teams that are like, they'll make it. They got to get lucky.
Yeah.
But I agree.
All right.
On to Buffalo.
Buffalo Sabres, man. Their 23-24 season, 84 points, missing the playoffs. Their leading point scorers, you got Darling and Tuck, 59 points. Who gets the C this year? I truly don't know.
I don't know. Is it too early to call one? Like, are they ready to give it to Darlene? I think he's the only guess.
Darlene has to be it. But
yes.
Is Lindy Ruff really going to let them give a captain out just yet? Does he think this team has a leader? Or is it going to be, we're doing multiple assistant captains and then whoever wants to step up will earn that seat? I think that's how Lindy's going to play it. You got to earn the C this year, boys. And I mean, what the hell is Buffalo doing? I think they're cursed jumping into their breakout players. Who you got?
I have the man, the myth, the legend, another St. Louis Blues legend, Tage Thompson. This dude had an off year. He was injured. He had an off year. The team's in shambles, but he just signed that big ticket. I don't want another Jack Eichel. I don't want another guy to go into Buffalo and get traded and then go out and win. I want someone to actually do well in Buffalo and stay there, like a Pat LaFontaine, who, again, another St. Louis legend. I think he scores 50, man. I just have a weird feeling that he's clapping him from everywhere, and he scores 50, and he takes this team a little bit higher, but still a little short.
He's a big boy. I mean, I think the Blues would have loved to have kept him, but I mean, I don't think anyone's going back on that trade that landed us good Ryan O'Reilly and brought us the cup. Jumping to my guy, I don't know if it's a breakout year, but I think he's really going to step up. Alex Tuch. I hated this player when he was on Vegas. Hated him. He's hard to hate. He's one of those guys you're like, crap, why do you have to play for Golden Knights? Because I really liked you. I think he can return to a 30-goal season. He put up 22 goals, 37 assists last year. He's strong, powerful, hard on the puck, hard on the forecheck. I think this is the man that steps up and puts 30 goals in. I mean, you got to fill the goal differential after letting Skinner walk. And I think this just gives Tuch more ice time and more opportunity to really step up. And I think Tage is also going to benefit from it. But it's finding that happy medium of plenty ice time, but also we've learned you can't just rely your whole team on the first and second line. You got to run forward to win championships.
What's your season prediction? What do you think?
Buffalo? Oh, they're missing the playoffs yet again.
Yes.
I'm sorry. I love Lindy Ruff. Lindy Ruff's a fantastic coach, but God, I don't think Buffalo, we're still looking at years away. And I don't know why, with that much talent and that, like, they have a lot of guys that are phenomenal players. They just can't put it together. And at some point, either you're going to keep trying every year to make playoffs or you're just going to tear it down. And I'm pretty sure we're at a crossroads. Are we tearing it down or are we building it up? And I mean, how long are some of these guys going to want to stay here before they're going, I want out? How long does Darling want to sit here and be like, cool, another year, getting really good at the golf game, but I've never seen the playoffs. So I think they're sitting out. What do you got going for them this year?
Mediocre, bud. Same old shit. They're going to be even. They're going to get off to a hot start. I think Tage starts hot. So does Tuch. I just think that they don't have goalies, bro. What's his name? Lehkonen. He was pretty good last year. It's just they cannot get in any groove. I don't even know, like, any other source of goal scoring besides Tuch and Tage at this point. They lost Eichel. They lost, I think Gergensons is gone. They lost, like, even their secondary scoring at this point. They're cursed, bud. Buffalo's cursed as a city. I don't want it to happen to them anymore. But it's pretty funny that we've had former superstars win cups like the year after they've been dealt, and it's happened literally the past 3 years or few years. Ryan O'Reilly, Jack Eichel, Kyle Okposo.
Hey, we love Kyle Okposo on this podcast, okay, folks?
We love him.
If you tell me you don't love that man, you can fuck right off, okay? Because Kyle Okposo is the epitome of a team hockey player. And we are all about the blue-collar working hockey players around here.
It sucks that he couldn't win in Buffalo. They had so many good players, and they still have good players. It's just I think their management sucks. I think Lindy Ruff is going to have a rough time with this team. But we'll see. I love Darlene, and I love Tuch. and I love Tage, so we'll see though.
Jumping into a team that I think you and I are pretty fans of. I mean, it's weird to say because they're an old Blues rival.
Oh yeah,
the Detroit Red Wings. Coming off an average season, I would say. The 23-24 season, putting up 91 points. Mason Raymond, still without a contract right now. 72 points, 31 goals. Led by their captain, another fantastic American-born player. Good friends of Johnny Gaudreau. 69 points, Dylan Larkin. 33 goals, 36 assists. Freakishly fast. And a wonderful captain. It's all coming down to the Yzerman effect. What are we doing here? Rebuild.
I know.
Trust the process. We'll see. So
I don't know how you can still trust this process without having Lucas Raymond and more insiders sign. We talked about this in episode 1, dude. I just had to say that. It does not make sense. You have the money. Just do it already. These kids want to play and they want to keep playing in Detroit. You need the build around them. And I'm sure Dylan Larkin is saying the same thing in the back of his head, but he's such a good dude. There's no one better than Dylan Larkin. No. Honestly, I love him. But my breakout player is Joel Veleno.
Oh,
I go with 2 St. Louis legends. Now I'm down to the Italians. Okay, let me speak. He had a pretty slow progression in his career so far, but it's still progression. And I like that he's starting to get more time on ice. He's kind of getting that top of the bottom 6 role now. 12 goals, 28 points last year. I think he scores 15, 20. And I think he even hits 40 points. He's more of a goal over assist guy right now. But I think he can kind of even it out, become a good 2-way, maybe even a solid third liner to stay in Detroit. He's definitely just slowly getting to where he needs to be. But I think this is the season that they give him more time. He might be able to play with someone a little bit better. And he starts tucking those goals for Detroit.
Alrighty, I'm jumping to the man we call Tank here in St. Louis, Vladimir Tarasenko, signing a 2-year deal at $9.5 million. I'm expecting a lot from him in Detroit. And I mean, he's just kind of jumping around to the original 6 teams. So good on him. Coming off a good win, coming off a good season last year with Ottawa and Florida. I mean, he had 25 goals and 40 assists, 65 points. I think he's realized where he's at in his career. He doesn't have to be a crazy goal scorer, but I mean 25 solid. So I think he puts up another 25 goals with 30 assists going into next year, playing on some specialty teams. I wouldn't be surprised if he does hit the 30-goal mark next year. And I know that's expecting a lot from him, but I think a 2-year deal coming off a good cup win, I think he could put some points up in the Motor City.
Yeah, I think he understands his role now. Mm-hmm. Like you said, he is the vet now. But a vet that puts up 25 goals. Come on, man. That's superstar talent right there. I mean, he always has been a superstar fucking player, and whoever says otherwise is a complete numbskull. One of the best Blues goal scorers I think we've ever seen.
Oh yeah. I don't think we've had a better Blues goal scorer in a long time since Vladdy. And I mean, I do think, yes, we attribute the Ryan O'Reillys and that, but we don't win that Stanley Cup without Vladimir Tarasenko. And
no,
as hard as it was and as bad as it kind of ended, I think this town still loves you, Vladdy. We still would welcome you back with open arms. I know it was a rough ending, but St. Louis is always your home. And, Vladdy's our guy.
Oh, yeah.
Season predictions. Make or break season in the Motor City for Stevie. It's a rebuild. He's been saying it's the rebuild, the Steve Yzerman rebuild, success or bust this year. Because are they a full-blown playoff team? No. Are they going to sneak in? I hope so. I think it'd be fun to see this team in the playoffs. I think it'd be fun to see them as a wild card team. They're a middle-of-the-pack team, but if they can get some hot goalie play, some good defense, and some scoring from Tank, I think they're making the playoffs as a wild card spot.
Yeah. I don't think they make it unless they can just keep it together. Like, I almost feel like they lost their luster at the end of last year, and they could have made it. They had a pretty good chance, and they freaking fucked it up. if they can lock in Raymond, they gotta lock in Lucas Raymond, dude. And they gotta lock in Ward Sider. Give them the confidence of a new contract or an extension for this matter, and they'll get it. I just think the Atlantic is so tough, man. Their defense isn't as solid as it could be. Like, they have a couple old school pieces in Petrie and Ben Sherriott. They're a little older, but you know, I hope they get in. I really want to see them get in. It's hard not seeing an original six team in the playoffs. And I do believe that Cam Talbot is a solid goalie. He has playoff experience, but he's not the guy to make a deep run, but they're really not there yet. So maybe they can just get the confidence, get the grooves back. They're in such a big drought of playoffs, like, which is crazy because Detroit was the team, bro. Detroit was the freaking team, and now we're just kind of waiting on them to get back in, but we'll see.
Yeah, it's going to be one of those that I think it's going to be a season of catch fire and run with it. And I think that's going to be our biggest thing going forward is a lot of these teams, they catch fire. It's the hockey. It's hockey. You make a good run, you sneak into the playoffs, and then you get hot and make a good run to the Stanley Cup. You could win a cup. Is Detroit that team? I don't think so, but it'd be fun to see them return to their playoff glories. All right, Florida Panthers. What you got, Mikey? Let's see if the last season preview.
Oh, just a little bit of 45 pounds, pure silver cup champions, baby. They were really freaking good last year. We knew they were going to win. 110 points. They were so good going into the playoffs. Last year, they couldn't beat Vegas, unfortunately. Now they come back and they just dominated Edmonton for the first 3 games. They should have won in 4 in reality. Sam Reinhart, superstar goal scorer, almost 60 tucks. I mean, that is crazy. And guess what? Former Buffalo Sabre. Their captain, Barkov, probably the best player in the league besides the 2 up in Edmonton. This guy is huge, man. He's the biggest person I've ever seen. First Finnish captain to lift the Stanley Cup. He had 80 points, 57 assists. This guy's unstoppable, dude. He's so silky smooth. Really, really good hockey player. Who's your breakout player, though, for next year?
Actually, the guy I'm picking is Sam Bennett, who I don't know if he's putting up crazy goals. I'm thinking he's maybe putting up 25 goals, 25 assists, pushing a plus 10. He was a plus 17 last year. I think he plays himself out of Florida because I don't think they're going to be able to afford him because they're going to run into some cap issues. But the boy put up 100 penalty minutes last year. He is all about the grit, and he plays right there with our boy from the Lou, Matty Tkachuk. So I'm taking Sam Bennett, and I'm sitting here also hoping at the end of the year he is a St. Louis Blue, if I'm being honest, because he also has the same agent as our newly signed defenseman, Broberg. Come on, Sam. Come to the Lou. You sound like a Blue already.
For me, it's hard, dude. They have nothing wrong with them. Even after not being able to sign the guys that helped them win the cup, like Tarasenko, and who knows about Okposo, it doesn't matter. They're gonna go back. The only guy that kind of came to mind was Evan Rodriguez.
Stud.
He's kind of a stud. He's been on so many good playoff teams too, low key. But I think he scores 20 for the first time this year. He's got a bigger role now. They lost Tarasenko. They got to have someone to score more goals. And hopefully it's Bennett and Rodriguez, you know what I mean? But I love him. I wanted him on the Blues when he was kind of flopping around on teams. And then he landed in Colorado, and I was freaking pissed. But yeah, 20 goals for Evan, 100%.
Yeah, I think that's a safe bet. Safe bet. Evan's he's going to be a stud this year.
And also, before we move on to the predictions, another Buffalo guy, What do you think Florida does this coming year?
I mean, they're going back to the cup. I mean, they're going to probably win their second cup. I think we're opening a championship window here. I don't think they're first in the division. They get a second place in the division, and that's okay. You don't have to be the number one seed going in. They sneak in behind a Boston team. They just work and grind their way to the top, and they're coming home with another Stanley Cup at the end of the year. And I'm happy about it because you really can't hate on Florida. There's no one on Florida you just like, man, I hate you. No. Florida, everyone in the league's happy if you win another cup, if I'm being honest. And you can live in the nightmares of Edmonton again.
I don't hate anybody on Florida either. Like, I loved watching them, dude, and I still love watching them. They are exactly what hockey is about. Big boy hockey. They can score, they can play defense, and their goalie is a sick puppy, Sergei Bob. He's just one of the best ever. I think they have the chance to go back-to-back. It's going to be so hard to do, like you said. If they do it, that is adversity to the maximum. They are, I think, they might be a better back-to-back team than Pittsburgh was in 16-17, if it happens. It's just they're stacked, dude. You know, Bob is getting old, but like I said, he's just a sick fuck, man. Like, he loves playing, and he's so good at it.
Bob doesn't have to play the whole season. They have a stud goalie in Spencer Knight who is just waiting to take the reins. If he can get it together off the ice, I think he is truly a next-level goalie that can take the reins from Bob, and Bob just let him get his rest throughout the season, make the playoffs, and then let Bob win you another cup, and then let Bob ride off into the glory.
Yeah. Yeah. It could happen. Florida's going to be good. If they go back-to-back, they're freaking sick, bud.
Montreal Canadiens, do the Habs have it after a piss-poor season last year? I'm sorry. And Montreal Canadiens standards, a 2023-24 season of 76 points. Cole Caulfield scoring 28 goals. Is this the breakout year for him? I guess we'll find out. Your captain is Suzuki. 77 points, 33 goals, 44 assists. I mean, you got two young studs that you really hope are going to break out this season and lead this team. But they have some good breakout potential players. And who are you picking, Mike, for your breakout player for this Montreal Canadiens team?
I really wanted to pick Caulfield just because I think he can do even more, man. Like, he reminds me of Johnny Hockey, where his size doesn't freaking matter. Like Paul Kariya, man. Like, just he's so swifty, like you can't catch him. But it's this Slafkovsky kid, bro. This guy just got paid so much money. I haven't even freaking heard of this guy till, a year ago. And he's huge, 6'3", 230, big boy, power forward. But he possesses so much skill. Like, he's just got sick mitts. He can score, and he can lay the body. I mean, I even think he might be a point-per-game player next year. If he gets 82 points, I wouldn't even be freaking surprised, bro. He had 50 last year. He just got paid. Point-per-game player.
Yeah, it's a big season for him, and I really hope he doesn't have a slump after getting that contract where he's been working. But he doesn't come off as a guy that you're worried about that. This is a hot take coming over in a trade. My guy, Patrick Laine. A couple years back, we were having the debate. Matthews, Laine, first overall pick. Who you taking? I mean, Patrick Laine, I think, is coming into a Habs team coached by the great Martin St. Louis. And I think he helps return him to his old form. I mean, I think he's a former 44 goal scorer. I think he pushes for 30 goals again this year. 20 assists with a +4. His defense has never been great, in my opinion. I think he is a skilled forward that likes to be in the offensive zone. I think Martin St. Louis is going to ride him a little bit on that, but I think it's safe to say you're getting a 30-goal scorer back. The other thing, though, Cole Caulfield. I think the reason he is just getting better and better every year is Martin St. Louis. The man is a premier stud of coaching young players. And I think he played as an undersized player for years and I think he's only going to help this team get better.
Totally forgot about Martin St. Louis
Oh
for
my
a sec
God,
when
yeah.
I was mentioning the small guys. I'm an idiot, dude. He was probably the one, right? I
He
mean,
has
him
to
and
be the
Paul
one.
Correa. So, I mean, agreed, dude. That team has so much potential. They really need some back end help, but they haven't had a goalie since Carey Price, dude. Like, I don't know about this Montembeault kid and that. This seems to be a reoccurring event with so many of these non-playoff teams. Is where is your goalie? Where is your defense? Because as we know, big boy hockey wins Stanley Cups. We need defense and we need solid hot goalie going in.
I agree.
We'll see.
I agree. What do you have for playoff predictions on these guys and their season predictions?
I mean, they ain't even sniffing it, brother. Unfortunately, like I said, because of the defense and the goaltending, bro. I mean, they have Suzuki and Caulfield and Line and Slafkovsky and Bonnet. Who else? I don't even know. It doesn't matter. They have nobody else. They don't have defense. Line ain't playing it. It's unfortunate. I actually kind of like the Habs. Like, I've never hated them. I know a lot of Canadians hate them because they're like, they were good back in the day. No one in Canada has won a cup in over freaking 30 years now, boys. Get over yourself. It's it's the United States, man. But we really need a Canadian team other than Edmonton on the East Coast to be good.
I mean, I think the only other team right now you can say in the great country of Canada is Vancouver has any shot of pushing for anything coming up.
Yeah.
All right. I think they improve from last place in their division to second in last place in this division, jumping over the Ottawa Senators. You still are not going to have a great season. You still don't have the defense or the goalie, but you're not the worst team in your division. So, hey, baby steps, Habs. We're improving, boys.
I just need to see those jerseys in the playoff again, bro.
Classics.
The best jerseys in probably all of sports, if we're going to be honest. They're so sick. And so much history there. Like, those crazy French Canadians, they need this. Like, they breathe air, man. And I hope the Habs can get there within the next 5 years.
Oh, God. Talk about a team you've been snake bitten since losing Carey Price. Maybe they'll figure it out one day.
And Shea Weber, bro.
Shea Weber, Carey Price. And to think your backup goalie was Yaroslav Halak. The man, the myth, the legend. We're going to Ottawa. And you already know my take on their season. But let's do their rundown, Mikey. What do you got?
Last year, 78 points. You're not the worst team in Canada, but you will be, like Josh says. Your best player was Stützle with 70 points. He had 52 assists. I had no idea. He was just feeding pucks all year. And then, our boy Brady. Our boy Brady with the C.
Free that kid. Get him out of there. Bring him home. He is a hostage, folks. We need Brady to be freed.
He needs a playoff experience, dude. We cannot let this kid go that many years of his young career in his prime without making the playoffs. I know he's the captain, but trade his ass. Get him out of there. 37 goals, 37 assists, just an all-around beauty of a player. Let's hope if they can build around him. Hey, they got DP57 and Olmark. If they can build around him, maybe they get a little bit better this year. We'll see. Who's your breakout player?
All right. Your leading points? Well, one of the leading point guys on that team.
I misspoke.
Tim Stützle. Rebound. Crazy fact on this kid. Only 22 years old. He has played 4 seasons already in the NHL and is 22. Big issue on this kid. Can he play a 200-foot game? And I think he can. I think he's pushing almost to the 30-goal mark this year. I think his assists stay at around 50. We're looking at 80 to 85 point mark. If he can put it all together, play some defense, forecheck, lead the team, I mean, he's getting into that list of premier centers in the NHL. But it's a lot of ifs. I would love to see him, as long as the kid's not taking dives left and right like we did last year. But I think he's got the skill to be a premier player. Who are you picking, Mikey?
I have Mr. Shane Pinto. He had a really weird year. Couple weird years in a row. He got suspended for betting on games. Absolute legend for it, though. You can't even be mad for him. Can't even be mad at him. It was only a 41 game ban, too. But he looked locked in when he played, and he does produce a little bit, I think he can get to 50. They need it. They really need it. They need secondary scoring like they need air, like I said, in Montreal. Canada just needs everything. Anyways, another power forward. He got dealt with a shoulder injury early in his career. He maybe had another one and then the suspension. It's just kind of weird. Like, people don't really see him as a solid player, but I do. I think he's great. If they can get him up to like 18 minutes, top 6 minutes, he can score 20, maybe even a little bit more. It's just got to keep him off DraftKings in the locker room, and maybe he'll put some goals away for the team and stop caring about a little side money.
It's crazy how that all kind of happens, and we've seen it in all the leagues as of late. And season predictions on these guys. Like I said, they're last in this division, and I'm sorry. I think the Canadians are going to be better than them. And I think poor Perron, God love him, he's there to teach the young because they are trying to develop a culture, because I think the culture is not built there. Brady, great captain. But Brady can only do so much when your captain's having to fight everyone on the ice and score all the goals. So I think it's a big year. I think Ullmark is the answer in net, but they're not going to win games because there are still question marks on the D and question marks. Can you have that depth scoring? And I just see them sitting in last in that competitive division.
Hearing you say that makes me want to think the same way, but I still have hope. Like, they kind of had a lot of hype around them last year, and they sucked, which was so sad to see. But now they're like a little bit better. I don't know. They don't have defense, obviously, but they have Ullmark, man. He can steal games, and Perron can score power play goals, and that's huge for a team that really needs that secondary scoring, like I said. So if Pinto and Perron can freaking put some home, Ullmark can steal some games, maybe they're fighting for something, not last place. I say in my notes right here that they'll be fighting against Detroit in a wild card spot, but I just don't know if even Detroit's going to get there. Like, I just have second thoughts every day I think of this stuff, but I would love to see them fighting each other for a playoff spot.
I think either way it's going to be competitive. I know you got your top teams in this division, and I mean, pretty much top teams are secured in their playoff spots. But like we know as Blues fans, you can go on a hot run, you can make the playoffs, and they could, and they may prove me wrong, and I may be sitting here end of the year going, man, I wrote this team off, and I'll own it. Remember, folks, I am owning it if they suck, okay? Or if they're amazing, I'll own it too. It's one of those things. It's a 50-50, but we shall see what this Ottawa Senators team brings to the table next year. All right, Tampa Bay Lightning. After a 98-point season, 144 points from Kucherov with 100 fucking assists. My gosh. Going into a season captainless after letting your longtime franchise-leading Stamkos walk away to the Nashville Predators. God, I hate the sound of that.
Disgusting.
It's awful.
It hurts. I think it hurts even more than Ryan O'Reilly.
Oh, it 100%. Because
we just know that he's going to fucking light it up.
Yeah, that's the worst part. And the crappy part is, man, you just can't hate Stamkos. There's not a bone in his body that you're like, I hate that. No, you don't. Great hockey player. Great to the NHL community. Great leader. Great goal scorer. There's too many greats to continue. But the biggest question is, who's their captain going into next season? Who you got, Mike?
Tampa Bay. First thing I want to say to you is you fucked up. You should have kept Stamkos. I don't even care if you lose the house, man. You put everything into this guy. He put everything in for you. I do understand it's a business, blah, blah, blah. We got to get younger. They got Gensel, great. He is not a natural-born leader. Stamkos is the guy. That being said, there's only one answer to this question. If you think otherwise, you're a complete fucking moron. It's Victor Hedman. It's Victor Hedman. I have no explanation. It's just that it's Victor Hedman.
Here's the thing, though. I might be that idiot. I may be thinking throwback to when Roberto Luongo wore that C in Vancouver. Only goalie in the league I think that could do it is Andrei Vasilevsky. I think it's going to be Hedman, but I'm not going to be upset if Vassy gets that C. Will we see it? Probably not, because not many NHL teams nowadays pick their goalie as their captain. But that man is a beast of a goalie. So we'll see. But the next thing is, who's your breakout player for them, Mike? Who you picking?
Tampa was a weird team now. I think they still have so many great players. I mean, they have Braden Point. Now they have Gensel. They have freaking douchebag Kucherov. The breakout player, it's those fringe guys, those bottom six, maybe like second line guys that have been there forever. They signed pretty big contracts. It's either Nick Paul or Cirelli. They kind of the last couple of years, but Nick Paul has kind of grown into this beast of a player. I think he can break 50 points. Why not? They need it. They need someone below Gensel and Kucherov and Point to score some goals and do some heavy lifting on the offensive end. And I like Nick Paul. I like him a lot. I like Cirelli too. They play the game the correct way. If you want to mirror a player, it could be one of those guys. They play hard, dude. With the help from Gensel, not just because he's there and he might be taking a lot of the points, but with Gensel helping, they can break 50.
I'm picking Brandon Hagel. They stole him away from a Chicago Blackhawks team. The man is a solid left wing at 6'2", 183 pounds. Coming off 82 games last year. 75 points, 26 goals, 49 assists. I think this year is going to be a even bigger season for him. I think he's putting up 30 goals. I think he's putting up 50 assists, getting an 80-point season, and a plus 10. Because the man is on the ice when they score. It is going to be the breakout season of Brandon Hagel. Will he do it? I sure hope so. Because I think he's one of those guys that he's fun to watch. He's gritty, gets to the corners, but he's got one hell of a shot. So I think Brandon Hagel takes them all the way and helps them out a little bit this year.
Now that right there is a real breakout analysis. A man who is going to score 30 and 50 assists. This kid. You know what? He's young. He's still got a lot to prove. And this is the team to do it on. You still have your superstars, like I said. You can fill in that second line, and you can tuck some goals away. So It would be insane if you were right. I didn't even think about this. I think that's a true crazy podcast breakout analysis, and I love it so much. Oh, my God.
It's going to be the year.
What do you think about what they're going to do, though, in the season as a whole as a team?
I think the playoff window's closing, folks. I think this championship team is not the same. I think they sneak into the playoffs, maybe. As a wild card team, we got a lot of teams that might. But this window's closing. Tampa Bay Lightning, I'm sorry. You let Stamkos walk. Kucherov, does he stay healthy? I don't know. But this team is coming to an end.
I agree completely. I think they sneak in as they did for a few years now, what it seems. They're a wild card team now. Maybe the third slot, maybe. But they're not a cup contender anymore. Vasilevsky can steal games. Hedman's still a beast. They still got their key guys, but Stamkos is gone, dude. I think that is such a big blow. I just don't think Tampa Bay sniffs more than a second round.
And I think this is the closest to an end of an era of like losing your Vinny LeCavalier and your Martin St. Louis. I think it's a changing of the guard. Yes, you have Victor Hedman, but you have to find the new young stars that can take over. Is Jake Gensel that guy? I hope so. Jake Gensel's a great player, but you're putting a lot of faith in a guy like that. All right. Toronto. What do you got, Mike? Give us the breakdown from last year.
I've got a lot of hate for Toronto. I'm kidding. No, the Maple Leafs, another great year, man. They're just always good. 102 points. Austin Matthews, obviously the highlight. Almost 70 tucks. This guy is a freak show. William Nylander, another great year. Almost 100 points. I'm sure Marner was up there as well. I don't have his stats here. But Matthews is the new captain, and I think it's so good. I just think stripping it from JT should have happened a while ago. JT's done. He's old. He's got like 2 years left in him before he wants to go somewhere else, or they dump him like Montreal did with Pacioretty, and injuries come to play or something. I think JT's just, or they keep him and he's fourth liner. It'd be cool to see him win a cup.
It would,
but they're not gonna. So
no, they are not a playoff team. As much as I hate it, and as much as I hate it for Chief, he has his work there for him. Because yes, you have great goal scoring. You have fantastic premier players in Austin Matthews. But guys got to play two-way games. And you're dumping a shit ton of money into a few players. You are banking Morgan Riley can lock down your D. You are banking that Austin Matthews can put up 70 goals again. You are banking that Nylander can stay healthy for a full season. And then you're also banking that when you get to the playoffs, does Mitch Marner produce? Is he producing, or is he fading into the shadows again? And I love Mitch Marner. Mitch Marner is one of my favorite players. But it's a lot of faith in a lot of guys on this team.
During the regular season, they're so fun to watch. They're just dynamic. It's so electric. They know how to score goals. We'll see how Joseph Woll is. I still don't think he's number one yet. We'll see. The Tanev signing is huge. But who's your breakout player?
Speaking of breakout players, you've already mentioned him, Joseph Woll, St. Louis boy. I mean, he played 25 games last year, starting 23, going 12-11 with a 2.94 goals against and a 907. Shaky season. But he stepped up in the playoffs. I mean, he's one of those guys that I think if given the opportunity, and given the opportunity with a little bit of a leash for them to have some growing pains, he's your starting goalie. Because right now, they don't have that guy. And I think Joseph Woll, if given the opportunity, can be a 1A kind of goalie, and then they have to find that 1B. They're going to have to share the load, but I think Joseph Woll is your 1A going into next season, and I think he has to show that in the preseason, and I really hope he does. Because, we're local boys from St. Louis, so truly, we always are pulling for our own. So let's hope a good old boy from Missouri can step up and play some solid games.
I'm excited for Woll. I think, like you said, it's it. This is his chance, man. This is your dream. You're playing in a huge market in Toronto. Like, they want you guys to win so bad. Just feed off that, and let's take advantage of it. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
We'll see. I like him. I like that pick, too. I have Matthew Nyes. This
Great
kid,
player.
Wow. I was so impressed with him last year in the playoffs. He was literally the one to bring the spark. He was fighting motherfuckers, man. He was chirping. It was old school, and Toronto needs more of that shit.
Mm-hmm.
He even scores some big goals. Like I just don't see how he isn't in the top six. How he isn't playing alongside those huge names and those huge contracts. He's the future, and he's more important to this team than people realize. It's not even about Marner and Matthews and Nylander. It's the Domies and it's the Nyes. Like, those guys are gonna carry you deeper because of how physical and how old school they are. And you mentioned Chief, bro. This kid he's like Jake Neighbors. He's just like, he fits in with Chief. Like, plays so hard. Chief is gonna freaking love this kid. He's gonna get so many opportunities with Craig. He's gonna get 50 points at least, and he's gonna play huge minutes. I just can't see it any other way. He's an alternate captain in Toronto if they keep him.
And I think here's the thing. I think much like the Blues when Kent Hitchcock came to us, this is what Chief is going to have to do in a Toronto team. The scoring players are going to get toward a new one. You're going to play a two-way game. If you don't want to play a two-way game, I could give two shits less. In the eyes of Kent Hitchcock, he didn't care. Play a 200-foot game, and then I think Chief is laying the foundation, much like Kent Hitchcock did for the Blues, for Chief to then take over at some point, that this team makes the playoffs, but they lose in the second round because Toronto's cursed and they just can't put it together. And until they decide a balanced team of offense and defense, they're not going anywhere. Because as much as you can bank on Matthews, and if Matthews can stay healthy, and we've seen he's started to have that wear and tear on his body already, you need defense that can help in those close, tight games, much like the games against the Boston Bruins, where they're going to grind you down. You got to see if you can make it to the end. So my take on their season predictions, they're going to make the playoffs. They're going to be in the upper echelon of that division, but they're eliminated in the second round, probably in 7 games, because they'll put a fight up and they'll give you the good old Chief mentality. But it's another disappointing year for Toronto, and a place that the hockey capital, hockey Hall of Fame in their town. You got to step up. We're waiting for another Canadian team to be like, let's win a cup. But 30 years, figure it out, Canada.
We're back on Canada just sucking, bro. I mean, Edmonton, I just don't like them. Like, their fans kind of suck. Hate me. Vancouver, meh. They're good. They're a little bit more fun to watch than Toronto sometimes. At least they have Quinn Hughes who can play defense. But Toronto, I don't know. They're in this vicious cycle, and they have been for so long, and I'm sick of seeing it. I'm sick of hearing it from these fans that they're just so brainwashed. You can't win a cup just with offense. You gotta get some beefy boys on the back end who can bump in the corners and make the simple plays. This isn't flashy city. This isn't NHL arcade video game shit. Okay? Like, let Matthew do his thing, and then watch Tanev, man. Like, people need to appreciate defense, and that's a good segue. Is like, they made that Tanev signing, and I loved it. I was like, that right there is the start to moving into a cup contending team. Now, you're banking on Wool being really good, okay? But Tanev's the start. The negative was losing Joel Edmondson.
Yeah.
Like, such a key part in the Blues Cup run. Him and Dunner playing together. Young guns with so much energy. Well, he's a little bit older now, but he's still like, he gets fired up, man. He can hit and he can pass, like, that is huge. I'm so flabbergasted they didn't sign him. And now he's in LA, and who knows with them. We'll talk about them some other time, but I don't know. Toronto, get out of the vicious cycle. Get some more quality bottom six and get some more quality defensemen. You have a shot.
I give it a couple of years. I mean, you're going to have your guys really in their prime. If they're willing to shed some cap in some areas. John Tavares, I love you, my guy, but you're getting paid way too much money for who you are in your career right now. That money spent on your bottom six in your defense, this team's making a good playoff run, and they could be breaking that curse of the Canadian no cup.
Yeah. Who's it going to be? Is it going to be Buffalo breaking their curse, Detroit breaking their curse, or Toronto breaking their curse? Such storied franchises, man. Someone's got to break the curse.
Someone's got to break the curse.
We want the original 6 teams to win things, like it's boring watching them lose in the first and second round. And now we got Florida teams winning back-to-back cups. We got a team in Texas who's on the verge of winning one. We got California teams getting better while you're stuck. Let's go, man. Come on. You can't let a Midwest St. Louis team do it to you again, man. Let's pick it up, Original 6, you freaks.
I think the hot take for this division, it's a snake bit division. Can some of these teams break their curses? Are we going to get better? Are we going to see great hockey going into next season? I think we will, but that's the beauty of hockey. You never know where you're going to get, and it all comes down to who shows up every given night. But folks, this is the 5 Minute Major Podcast. Thanks for listening, and we'll be back in the next couple of weeks with some more episodes as the season ramps up.
Yeah, we'll move on to the Metro divisional predictions next week, and we're getting really close to the preseason, man, so get ready for more and more content. We love you guys. Thank you for listening. Peace out.